Hi, everyone. I'm really excited to be here. And one of those things I get asked a lot, sometimes people say, hey, you're kind of like Mother Teresa. And I'm like, no, she's truly amazing. And when I look around this room, I see some really, really amazing people, all 250 of you. And I really want to encourage you to see what you're passionate about, what makes you get up in the morning. And if you haven't found that yet, don't be afraid, because sometimes as you evolve and you're looking in terms of change, exploring different things, sometimes things happen. And that's kind of what happened to me. I started volunteering in the downtown east side for purely selfish reasons, and it changed my life completely. I got into it because my best friend from theater school had written a script about a woman who, from the age of 14 to 19, where she goes from a middle-class suburban girl to a downtown east side sex worker drug user. So she called me, and out of friendship, I said, sure, I'll do this project. She said to me, Caroline, I'd really love you to do this, because every time she'd tell people what she was doing, because she had started working at a transition home for sex workers trying to get off the street. And a lot of times people were really judgmental, where they didn't understand the value of what she was doing. They're like, those people are dealing with addiction. They're dabbling in prostitution. Why would you want to help them? So she wrote this script. And so I started volunteering in the downtown east side to help my friend because of that connection. And I started volunteering there, where at a shelter where they serve about 125 people a night. They had on-site nursing. One of my jobs was also to call around for shelters and to help the women fill in the bad date sheets. Because I found out 1 out of 3 women around the world have experienced sexual violence before the age of 18, according to Amnesty International, which those stats are pretty high, and 1 out of 6 men as well. And as I started volunteering, I started hearing stories from the women. One night, one of the women came up to me and she asked me, what's it like to be a kid? And I asked her to elaborate because I didn't really understand what she meant. And she said, well, when I was 4, my father was sleeping with me. By the time I was 6, he was selling me. And by the time I was 10, I'd been in and out of so many foster homes it was safer on the street. And that just got me. Like, I didn't know what to do with that information. She said it so matter of fact because it was something that had happened to her. And as I continued to develop that love and friendship with this particular woman, one night, another lady came in and we both looked at each other because this woman was very upset. It was about 12 years ago. This woman who came in was wearing a tank top, had bruises all up and down her arms. My friend and I tried to talk to her to see if she wanted a meal. Did she want medical care? What did she want? She didn't want anything. All she wanted was to curl her hair. Somebody had donated a curling iron. So very frantically, she was trying to get her arms up to curl her hair, but her arms were so battered she couldn't quite get her arm up to do it. And she looked like she was about to start to cry because she was getting so frustrated and she was just trying to hold on to her sense of self so she didn't let herself go. And I couldn't stand there and just watch anymore. So I said, look, I'm not a hairdresser, but I'd be willing to try, which my friend laughed at me because I'm not very good at hair. I've got poker straight hair, which the woman who eventually looked at me and said, okay, you can do my hair. And half the hair was curling this way in lovely spirals like it was an 80s perm. Other pieces were curling upwards as if it was a flip from the 1950s. And other pieces were going underneath and curling. And the next thing I knew, we were laughing. And we ended up, I think I've got static here. We ended up just hugging each other, and it gave me the sense of joy to watch her walk out of there with that extra bounce in her step. So where did I go from there? I needed to get mentorship to go to the next level, because every time I continued to volunteer, all the women kept asking me, can you do my hair? Can you do my makeup? And it got to the point they started calling me the beauty lady, for heaven's sakes. And it was just like, okay, what am I going to do? Because the staff were getting angry at me. For heaven's sakes, I was worried I was going to get fired as a volunteer. Because, my duties there were to call around for shelters, to fill in the bad date sheets, and to serve meals, which are really important basic needs for people. And what ended up happening was I finally contacted the volunteer coordinator. I seeked out that help. And I said, look, I love the women. I love your organization. And I really love to do a big beauty night because this is what the women want. They're asking me to do makeovers on them. And I'd really love to bring in people who can do hair, who can do makeup, who are gifted in that way. It would be wonderful. And with that, they said, okay. So from there, I ended up emailing everybody on my list and started dabbling, because I'd never thought of myself as any shit's kind of leader at that stage. But I ended up jumping in there, embracing my community that I knew already, which was about 30 people, because I wasn't particularly tech savvy. And through that, like a Clairol commercial, one person told one person, and so on and so on and so forth. And next thing I knew, we did our very first beauty night, ended up with 14 volunteers and 73 women. So we had a hair station, makeup station, and a nail station. And it was this beautiful community where we had the street nurses coming in to check in, and the women would come up and just talk to the street nurses to show off their manicure or their haircut, and ended up actually accessing services. It was a pretty amazing, beautiful thing. And one of the key things which I learned from it was the makeover, which I thought was kind of superficial when I started, was actually a great way to reintroduce touch, which I'd heard from the women, where it was kind of mind-blowing. So one of the things I've done now is we built this huge community of amazing people. We've got over 500 volunteers, and our motto is a beauty night because dignity is beautiful, where we run programming 4 nights a week. And I've gotten to see so much change, met some amazing people. And what I encourage is, if you've got a dream, because beauty night wasn't supposed to happen until I was rich and famous from acting. So that wasn't going to happen until I was in my late 70s. Just to really just dig deep in yourself, find out what you value in your life, volunteer, talk to people that inspire you. There's some amazing people here that inspire me. And I know we've heard from some really wonderful people tonight. So I just want to say thank you, and just go, dump in here, be passionate, and find out what makes you tick and make you feel really good, and share that with the world. Because to badly paraphrase Nelson Mandela, who are we to be gorgeous, talented, and fabulous and wonderful? Who are we not to be? By letting our own light shine, we inspire others to do the same. So I encourage you, shine.